These faces, carved on the rocks of the Burrup, peer out at us through the mists of more than 20,000 years. Evidence suggests these tantalising glimpses are of an undiscovered civilisation that may have existed in Australia before any other in the world. In Australia's northwest are the islands of the Dampier Archipelago, including the Burrup Peninsula. The special nature of the Burrup has made it a meeting place for countless generations of people. The steel-hard granophyre rocks of the Burrup are the key. They have trapped water since before the last ice age, creating a place rich in subsistence resources. The rocks have also preserved a detailed record of the many people who have come here. The whole landscape of the Burrup is a unique natural museum, a vast and diverse collection of petroglyphs or rock carvings.
The Burrup, as you can see here, sitting by a waterhole that was last fed by rains from the cyclone now 8 months ago. The water, the hardness of the rocks is why there is so much art here.
The Burrup petroglyphs record the continuous history of this special place. Factors such as the different styles and the impact of weathering on the rocks help archaeologists to build a better picture of the countless generations that have lived here.
Here we have a classic case of the age-related weathering, 30,000 to 6,000 with the in-between, sometime around 15, possibly 18,000 years ago. And that's how we build it up. The more images we find, the more record we make of these changes in the weathering states enables us to build up a repertoire of styles and subjects with relative age that then allows us to understand better what people were doing in the environment.
But it's the distinctive archaic styles buried deep within the layers of petroglyphs that have drawn the world's attention to the Burrup. These incredibly old works are hard to distinguish amongst more recent carvings. For example, the side of this archaic face is overlaid by the tall figure on the right, which is a relatively recent work. Nonetheless, as the painstaking work continues, the evidence suggests that one of mankind's oldest civilizations once lived here. These pre-Ice Age petroglyphs reveal the presence of a sophisticated culture thriving on the Burrup in the earliest days of modern man. So how long ago were the archaic artists chipping away at the steel-hard Burrup rocks? The Great Pyramid of Giza is an icon of ancient times, built over 4,000 years ago. Stonehenge was built 5,000 years ago. Around 7,000 years ago, sea levels rose. Up until then, the Burrup had been surrounded by rich, fertile plains. The celebrated Lascaux cave art in France is from around 16,000 years ago. But the archaic styles of the Burrup are much older than that. We go back past the peak of the last ice age and then back even more. This was a special time, as people met in what must have been something like the Garden of Eden.
By looking at the state of the weathering is an indication of a phenomenal age. In my estimations, we're looking at art that was produced well over 20, possibly 25 to 30,000 years ago.
It's the character of the Burrup's archaic styles that makes them distinctive. They have a complexity and craftsmanship that is breathtaking. The carvings are more than representations of everyday things. They communicate complex ideas about the people and their lives.
The engravings are a window on the existence of the people here, the way they lived, what mattered to them. It is not just that they are beautiful artistic pieces. Each tell a story about the culture and the society that produced them.
The archaic faces are an example of one of the archaic styles. These haunting close-ups of people all feature concentric circle eyes that are deeply etched in relief. This is a three-dimensional relief carving, where the artist has removed the stone that is not part of the picture, so that the outlines stand out.
Archaic faces use both the positive and the negative relief to create the form. It is the bits of the rock surface that are left unpecked that form the features.
The craftsmanship and the human expression here indicate a level of abstract thought that is unique for its age.
A huge range of human forms. Each valley seems to have its own particular form of human representation. In one of the other valleys, instead of dots, it is bars that is used. In another one, it is large rectangles.
Another archaic style, the geometric panels, covered with obscure mathematical messages from a time when we thought maths didn't exist. This elaborately detailed panel is what remains of a marker pole on top of a hill.
We don't understand its meanings, but what's really interesting about it is that it is segmented. It actually has lines down it which divide the areas. Now in each area we've got a series of dots. See, there's large ones here in a group of 4 or so, totaling 8, and then here there would have been large dots again, but then there were loads small dots. And then we had this particular square which only had large dots in it, and this particular square which only has small dots in it.
This use of mathematical symbols in petroglyphs so old is unique across Australia and across the world. Was this marker pole for counting, or perhaps a tourist map for visitors? Much work needs to be done to interpret this extraordinary archive of human history.
Literally, we just haven't had the time or the expertise to put in detailed work to evaluate all these components. And that's the problem of the Burrup. It requires PhDs after PhDs to actually interpret what is some of humankind's earliest prehistory.
We are little more than an empty shell if we are without a cultural heritage. The archaic ancestors call us to account to protect and preserve this special place.